What's going down, everybody? It's your boy, that guy, my high, tuning back in for another reaction. This time we got the top 10 secret projects the government tried to cover up. You already know they don't be telling us everything. They ain't honest. You know what I'm saying? They tell us what they want us to know because for whatever reason everything's on a need to know basis. You dig what I'm saying? So until you need to know, you ain't gonna know. But yeah, before we jump into that, let's go ahead and give a big shout out to all the members, man. We got Ryan Parks, Nicole, Token Tug, Casey, Aaron, Taylor, Mama Dukes, Misty Summers, Lynn Willow, Driver Thoughts, Matt Creeker, Lynn, Amy Jane Doe, Liz Nugget, My Hood Life, and Gary Willis. You gang. You dig what I'm saying? If you want to go ahead and get your name shouted out on the lives, all the videos, all that good stuff, this is what we do at the top of every video. We got to give praise to the people who support us. And yeah, you can hit that join button down below. Again, if you're a part of the Mile High Mafia, that just means you're subscribed. But if you want to get the personal, by name shout outs, get some perks, all that good stuff, hit that join button. You got 3 different options to choose from $2.99, $4.99, and $9.99. Go check it out, see if anything fits your fancy. So let's get into this, man. No more talking. 10 secret projects that the government's been trying to cover up. Let's go.
Hello everybody, I'm your host Woody, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 secret projects the government tried to cover up. Today we are going to be focusing specifically on Central Intelligence Agency or CIA projects. Let's get into it. Number 10, Project Stargate. If you've watched Stranger Things, then this one probably sounds familiar to you. In the show, 11 started off as an experiment to psychically spy on the Russians, and turns out this was actually real. In the
I was just about to say that's super real. I was about to say they hella, I think it was like World War II time or whatever, or maybe like, yeah, I want to say around the World War II time. They were doing straight up experiments with the whole idea of like psychics and people having the ability to, talk to people across the planet and destroy things and all sorts of shit.
70s in California and later in Maryland, the CIA recruited numerous men and women who claimed they had ESP, or extrasensory perception. People with ESP typically say that they can read minds or move objects without touching them. They were recruited to try and help uncover military and domestic intelligence secrets. Mostly, they just wanted them to spy on the Russians by reading their minds. The government covered it up, of course, because why would they want people knowing they're trying to use magic powers to win a war? But in 2017, when 12 million pages of records were declassified, all of the information about the so-called Project Stargate became public knowledge. People learning that they had been using the men and women to locate hostages and even track fugitives throughout the states. Number 9, Vault 7.
It's such a crazy concept to think that, that's like, to me, that's something that shouldn't be hidden, right? Like, if you have straight up the ability to use people's, sixth eye or whatever the fuck it is, you know what I'm saying, to like help people and find, lost victims or, whatever, like, why was that a secret? You know what I'm saying? Unless, I guess you don't want the enemies to know, like, these people exist and, but whatever. I'm just saying that sounds like a lot more good can come of, like, the people knowing about this than not.
Vault 7 was definitely never meant to make it to the public eye, but unfortunately for the CIA, it got leaked. So what actually is Vault 7? Back in 2017, WikiLeaks started releasing a series of CIA documents. Vault 7 was a group of documents that contained hacking systems that were either developed or otherwise obtained by the CIA. For the most part, it should make you wary of your technology and how the government is using it. Many people know that apps will track our searches and data to learn.
Bruh, if you still walk around with the paranoia of, oh my God, they're watching me, you fucking right. They sure the fuck are watching you. They may not be watching you specifically, but they watching every goddamn one of us. Shit, they could be tuned in watching this camera record me as I'm, doing it live. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't even out yet, but they could be, it's out as the time of you watching this, but at the time of me recording it, it wasn't out because you know what I'm saying? I'm recording it and I haven't edited and uploaded it yet, but they could be watching me do that. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Shit, your cell phone is a walking GPS device. You know what I'm saying? Everybody out there, man, I hate I would never want to be on ankle bracelet. I would never want to have to be monitored by the police. Your phone. Your cell phone, your computer, shit, cars these days. Like, you name it. Your watches, all them Apple watches and smart watches you're wearing and shit, they watching you. Bro, there's a camera on every corner of every street damn near. You know what I'm saying? They got hidden cameras and shit. Just, they're there. You being watched. Get over it. If you still walking around paranoid about being watched, bro, you just need to I don't know. I mean, you crawl into a ball and find a hole, or go to outer space or some shit where they're not monitoring. I don't know. But if you on Earth, you being watched. I mean, some countries worse than others. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
us
saying.
and maybe even sell it to malicious companies. But it's much more than that.
And then on top of it too, the reality is the CIA ain't the only ones that could do it. Shit, you could, like, have we not had hella videos that we've seen where people were hacking into people's CTC cameras or CCTV cameras, hacking into those Ring cameras? I mean, it's not just the government. Like, you could just have some random weird people who can do it. Like, they did say some of this code was obtained by confiscating it from people with, bad intent. Too goddamn smart for their own good. You know what I mean? Just saying.
Dole has the ability to turn a Samsung television into a recording device, even if it appears that your television is switched off. Vault 7 also contained the ability to intercept all your iPhone messages before they got encrypted through apps like WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram. And according to the documents, the CIA can allegedly take over your phone by exploiting vulnerabilities. But Apple has said that they patch these vulnerabilities as soon as they're aware of them. Number 8, Battalion 3.
That's why I stay with Apple. Like, if we've seen any big private business say, F you to the the government, and do everything that they can to make sure that their users are safe and can have some sort of sense of privacy. Like, not saying none of your shit could be accessed. Like, anything could be accessed, but it gives you, they do their best to try to give you just a sense of security. You know what I'm saying? A sense of being like, man, I can do what I want on my shit. Nobody could, you know what I'm saying? Nobody gonna know. They gonna know. But nobody, you know what I'm saying? You could give that sense of feeling.
Intelligence Battalion 316 went through a few different names throughout its existence, but it was pretty much always functioning for the same reason. They were an army unit in Honduras that was responsible for carrying out political assassinations and even kidnapping and causing pain to people who were seen as potential political competition throughout the 1980s. The group received both support and training from the CIA, even receiving their training at United States military bases.
Wow.
They were a military kill squad that definitely wasn't known for being friendly, committing various crimes like terrorism, misogyny, ethnic cleansing, and even so-called crimes against humanity. Their goal to remain in power in Honduras failed, leaving behind a long list of innocent victims. In 1996, members of the U.S. Congress asked President Bill Clinton to release the documentation about the country's involvement with the human rights violations that took place in Honduras, and this is when we learned about the battalion. Number 7, MK Ultra. Let's once again return to the Red Scare and the United States fight against Russians and communism. During the Cold War, they came under the belief that the communists had invented a drug that would allow them to control human minds, and the US wanted a piece of that, starting their own research into the technique under the name Project MK Ultra, trying to find their own mind control substance.
That sounds like a super powerful drug, bro. Like the government just got, you know what I'm saying? Like, that sounds like that MK. Hey, bro, you tried that MK Ultra? Yeah, that's that gas pack. You know what I'm saying? Like, that sounds like some wild ass shit, bro.
That could be turned into a weapon. It ran from the 50s to the 60s and led to many unknowing or even unwilling subjects being given illicit substances. The experiments were apparently covertly funded in American universities and research facilities, but it turns out that the experiments also took place in prisons and detention centers in the US, Japan, Germany, and the Philippines. The goal was to destroy the current mind and replace it with something new. Attempts included using electric shocks and illicit substances. For some, the experiment.
This sounds exactly like this is probably the project that you could probably even blame some of like these practices being used on like mental health patients as well, because that back in the day was kind of like their whole stilo too as well. Like, we have to destroy the mind as it is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to destroy that mindset that you have and rewire your brain, essentially, is kind of like what their whole kind of thought was, like the whole electrotherapy and all the weird, just like, it was like torture, bro. There was no therapy involved. Like, therapy was I feel like that word is used very loosely anyway. You know what I'm saying? We use therapy very loosely. Man, like that shit was
were
gruesome,
fatal,
bro.
and many others had their
Gruesome.
lives completely changed. Number 6, Operation Cyclone. Operation Cyclone became known as one of the longest and most expensive covert operations taken on by the CIA, costing around $630 million per year for a whole decade. So what was Operation Cyclone, and why was the government pouring so much cash into it? It was an operation that worked to arm and finance militant Islamic groups during the military intervention by the USSR. The goal was to aid anti-Soviet resistances outside of the United States. They gave loans, aircrafts, weapons, and other military assistance to the groups in Afghanistan, costing the United States government billions of dollars for these so-called care packages. Eventually, the Soviets were pushed out of Afghanistan, but conspiracy was still spinning. Many of the weapons ended up being sold in local markets instead of going to the rebels, and some people believe that it was—
I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, oh, you know, like this one's kind of like old news. Like, oh yeah, we knew about this already. Like we've been known about this for a long time. Like we know, we know. Yep. Reagan and his war on drugs and his weirdly funded war efforts and shit. Yeah, we know.
Osama bin Laden and the Al-Qaeda received assistance from the U.S. military. Number 5, Operation AJAX. In the 1950s, a coup took place in Iran, and the CIA documents about it weren't released until they were pressured to a total 64 years later. As it turns out, the agency played a large role in the coup that led to the end of the current Iranian prime minister, a rise in nationalism, and sour U.S.-Iranian relationships remaining into the 21st century. The motivation was oil. The U.S. and UK wanted Iran's oil, but their new prime minister made it inaccessible to them. So the two countries conspired to overthrow him and get their oil back. The coup seemed to fail, and the CIA sent a message to their base in Iran calling it off. But the CIA officer who received it said, nah, we're not done here. So the next day, with crowds allegedly hired by the CIA, the coup, or Operation Ajax, went through, and the prime minister was overthrown. The monarchy and oil fields restored in the country. Anti-Western sentiment also being restored and growing to new and extreme levels. Number 4, the Five Eyes. Are you familiar with one of the farthest reaching—
So hold on. So this is one of those situations that, like, to that one, I'd have to go look into it to kind of like really truly know. Like, that was very vague, but it seemed like we caused some shit and, you know, created a whole riff and a coup to get better oil prices, bro. That's what that seemed. That's what it sounded like to me. Is we displaced and helped destroy lives to get better gas prices. God damn.
Intelligence and espionage agencies in the world, you are probably a part of it and don't even know it. It is the once secret Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. After World War II, the US and UK came together to create an information sharing alliance. As a result of how important—
between the United States and Russia, we are the bullies of the world, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, that is the wildest. Like, I'm just like trying to comprehend that. Like, man, we do some fucked shit, bro. God damn. Like, I mean, we do some good too. Don't get me wrong. Being American is a great thing. But there's some times where you're like, damn, America, why we do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to look yourself in the face sometimes and be able to be like, damn, we was on some bullshit on that one. You know what I'm saying? There's some times where we be on some bullshit. I don't know if that one time before this was that one of those times. I'm just saying I need more context. Okay, I need more context because from face value, I just kind of was like, damn, we was some bullies in this bitch. Like.
Communication was for them during the war effort. And in 1956, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand were added to this group. The classification status on these documents was USA, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, eyes only. And that was obviously a bit wordy, so they shortened it down to Five Eyes. It has been operating for 70 years now and is used for surveillance and sharing classified information between the 5 countries. The alliance was especially important during the Cold War, when the countries shared a lot of information like the location of Soviet weapons in North America. The alliance was kept a secret until documents of the original UK and USA agreement were released back in 2010. Number 3, Operation PB Success. Similarly to Operation Ajax, Operation PB Success was a covert CIA military operation that took place in another country, this time Guatemala. This was another coup that took place only a year after the one in Iran in 1956. 1954. At the time, Guatemala had a very new democracy, only being on their second democratically elected president. But the United States saw him as a threat, this being due to his allowance of the Guatemalan Communist Party to act freely and land reform movements that threatened U.S. industries. The CIA then worked through various different plans of action to overthrow the Guatemalan government, including assassination and faking tensions between the country and Honduras. They spread false information, placed anonymous phone calls, and hired anti-communist students to create a fake opposition. Eventually, the president stepped down and their democracy was seen as unfavorable. The United States training that the Guatemalan military now had led to a war lasting decades, tearing apart the country. But PB's success was a success as it worked, and they were able to deny CIA involvement until the documents were released in 1997.
Facts.
Number 2, the Secret War. We're once again fighting communism.
You know the one thing too that I've noticed about the United States? We're really good at training motherfuckers. We are really good at that. We can train the shit out of some people. The problem is though, we don't have any of the ability. Like it doesn't seem like we have the ability to like keep people in like check, like to keep them on our sides and shit. Like we be training motherfuckers and then having and going to fight them, like the Afghanistan shit. You know what I'm saying? The Iraq shit. Like a lot of that, like we were supplying most of those weapons that they was using against us. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of this shit that we were talking about, like with the Reagan shit and him supplying and you know sending weapons over there, blah blah, all that stuff. Like, and then we ended up turning around having to go fight them with our own weapons and with people that we had trained essentially back in the day. Like it's just such a wild
time
concept.
In Vietnam, but while the Vietnam War
really
was
good at
taking
training
place,
niggas, but
a
we
smaller
cannot keep them on our
secret war
side.
was taking place in Laos, attempting to stop communism from spreading to Southeast Asia. The Americans essentially used the countries of Laos and Cambodia to fight their own war against northern Vietnam and communism, using their tribes as their soldiers. While it was clear that the small armies had no hopes of truly winning against northern Vietnam, the United States and the CIA continued on with their fight, devastating the country and peoples of Laos and Cambodia. They came out of the war with their land and lives completely lost and changed, but the CIA wrote it down in their history books as a success, disregarding the country's sacrifice. The CIA's historical retrospective on the situation not being released until many years later. Number 1, Operation Condor. It's the Cold War again, and the United States government are fighting against terrorism, this time under the code name Operation Condor. It was a campaign of political repression and so-called state terror that was backed by the US and CIA. It involved many heinous activities like kidnapping, killings, political espionage, and much more, all taking place throughout South America. The CIA chose to describe it as a cooperative effort by the intelligence/security services of several South American countries to combat terrorism and subversion. But really, it was a lot more than that. Condor's key members were Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and later Brazil. The United States provided them with planning, coordination, technical support, and military training, all routed through the CIA. It led to many military dictatorships and numerous deaths throughout South America. And there is so much detail and information on this one that if you want it, you're just gonna have to look it up for yourself. Thank you guys for watching.
Wild,
that was 10 secret projects the government tried to cover up.
That shit's crazy. Like, I mean, we know that there's hella, you know, cover-ups, and I'm sure there's way more that have yet to be, you know, truly, you know, discovered and you know, lots of unclassified, lots of classified documents that have yet to be unclassified. So, I mean, this just kind of goes to show, like I said, it's great to be an American. But at the same time, you could sit there and be like, damn, we are some assholes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is just the facts. Between us and Russia, bro. Like, both countries are assholes. Both countries do some cool shit. You know what I'm saying? Same with China. China you could throw in there too, because China be on some asshole shit too, but then they be doing some good shit too. But we all on that same shit. You know what I'm saying? All the superpowers of the world, like they're superpowers for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not just doing good and you know, not doing anything bad. Like there's a reason that they're able to maintain the power that they have. There's the reason we've been able to maintain the you know, the public perception of power that we have. You know, all those countries, like they all have their good things and their bad things, and both lists are laundry list, dog. Their grocery list and shit in this bitch. Like, let's just be real about it. Like, we are not clean of some fuckery. Just like majority of these other superpower countries are not clean. Actually, all of them, none of us are clean of some fuckery. But yeah, that's wild, bro. I mean, some of it we seen, some of it we knew about, some of it was kind of like, damn, I need to go look into that shit. You know what I'm saying? But you let me know what you thought about that down in the comments below, and we'll talk about it in the comments. All right, I love y'all. Peace.